All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Hello again, and welcome to Primitive Screwheads Talk Horror Movies. And Andrew, you've got red on you.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. So, we are two friends who met over while we were teaching over in South Korea, and we have bonded over our shared love of horror movies. This is our 5th episode, and Andrew, we have just recently reached 50 unique downloads. I am very impressed.
Oh my gosh, we're so famous.
I know. I'm expecting the Blue Apron sponsorships and Audible sponsorships any day now. How about you? What big sponsorship do you expect to get?
I want Sugar Bear hair. You know,
Sugar Bear what now?
That's Sugar Bear hair. It's what they get on My Favorite Murder.
What?
It's like a vitamin that you eat and you get hair. I don't know.
What?
They always talk about it.
Sugar Bear hair.
Yep, it's a thing.
All right, I'm looking that up right now. Sugar Bear hair.
I think it's like gummies that give you better hair. I want that.
Revolutionary hair vitamins. For healthy hair, eat the Blue Bear. And then, of course, the men's ones are... Oh, no, the vegetarian ones are blue, and then there's vegan ones, too.
See? Look at this. We're already advertising. We don't even know us.
Exactly. Okay, so the Sugar Bear hair, yeah, you're great. Now, where does the hair come in?
I don't know. My guess is just vitamins and stuff. Like, like people eat, take like omega-3 capsules and shit. Probably that.
It is specifically vitamins for hair growth, it seems.
There we go. So when I start going bald, I'll be set.
Uh-huh.
That's my goal in life.
Wow, and they're little bear-shaped right there. Okay.
See, and you can see them like gummies. That's my goal.
Yeah, you can get a Sugar Bear hair backpack gift set for $200.
So it's a backpack full of vitamins?
It's a backpack full of vitamins.
I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's shaped like the gummy.
Okay, that's all right. That's great. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
all right. So yeah, once again, for those of you who don't know, or this is your first episode, welcome. We are, once again, two friends who met over in Korea, and we bonded over our love for horror movies. So this is the podcast where we get together. We try and update weekly about whatever horror movie we watched, or just want to discuss. And we try and keep it varied, try and keep the genres a little bit instanced here and there. A couple of our past episodes we've done the new Halloween remake. We did the 1982 slasher film Pieces. Last week, we went ahead and we did the 5-second films Dude, Bro Party, Massacre 3. And today, we're going to be talking about my personal favorite British Christmas zombie musical, Anna and the Apocalypse.
Whoa. This is my favorite Scottish Christmas zombie musical film.
Oh, man. Ed Sheeran's going to be so pissed at me.
Look what you did.
Oh, man.
Look what you did.
Oh, man. All right. So, Andrew, you were the one who recommended this movie. You were the one who heard about this one first. So, why don't you tell me a little bit of background information about how you kind of discovered this film, how you heard of it, and just general impressions, I guess, first off.
So I first heard about it. I saw a trailer, I think, when I went to go see BlacKkKlansman at some point last year. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there was a trailer for it, and I was like, oh shit, it's a zombie musical. That sounds kind of awesome. And I'd recently seen that, what's that film? Emo the Musical, which is like another kind of like, I don't know where that went. Maybe that's in New Zealand kind of musical, which actually, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between them in terms of like the style they are. Mm-hmm. And so like one night I was, browsing the internet, and I saw that it came out, so I ordered it on like Vudu and watched it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because this is not a low production film. I mean, it's a pretty high quality film, with the camera work and the cinematography and everything like that. And as far as musicals go, it's pretty high up there. So I was very surprised to see just how well done everything was.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't think it's an amazing movie. It was definitely entertaining. It was definitely worth my time, but it was very by the numbers, and beyond the concept, there wasn't too much I found interesting. But the concept was definitely enough to keep my interest the whole way through. And then the soundtrack, too. There are some songs that I still continue to listen to and have in my head, like the one I was singing as we were prepared for this episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This music's great. Like I thought they did a really good job. I think that's actually kind of like what makes this movie good. I think the plot, like you were saying, is very basic. What happens in it's very basic. But the score and the music they put into it is really good. And the times that I notice I feel myself kind of lagging in it, or the times I'm kind of like, all right, what's going on, is when there hasn't been a song in a while. And I think definitely there is a point where they kind of stop using music, and that's kind of where you kind of feel that drag.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. All right, so let's get started with our analysis of the film then, and at the very end, you've got some themes you want to talk about based on this movie, and we can kind of discuss that and figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, cool.
Our movie starts out with our protagonist, Anna, who is a high school girl driving to school by her dad, and in the backseat with her is her best friend, John. Now, Anna, she is your typical free spirits. I don't want to fit into any one mold. I just want to go out. I want to have fun. I want to live life on my own terms. John is her best friend, and as is pretty apt in a lot of these teenage romance movies, or not romance, but teenage movies, he is secretly in love with her. And I want to pause there for a second and actually ask you, what did you think of the character John?
I liked him. I don't know what this says about me, but I found John to be a relatable character, just in terms of I feel like he was that stereotype of that character who likes the other person.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was somebody who kind of understood where he was and it wasn't like one of those kind of like, you just going to see him pining after her the entire time. He kind of understood what he was and just made the best out of their friendship.
Yeah.
Which I kind of think isn't as often. We don't see that as often.
There really weren't any, besides the one instance later on in the movie, there weren't any grand gestures where... so basically, just to back up a little bit, I mean, he's deeply, deeply in love with Anna, but, well, no, I'm going to rephrase that. He has a huge, huge, huge crush on Anna, and he cares very deeply about her, but Anna does not reciprocate. So they kind of play it up as the unrecruited romance, teenage, typical thing. And the movie could have very, very easily veered into nice guy territory where he gets really pissed off because she's not reciprocating any of his romantic advances. But, I mean, as far as John goes, he's a pretty solid friend the whole way through, and he is pretty respectful of her decisions and her independence.
Well, I think the way that I think about his character is... I kind of think him as the friend who likes Anna, at some point maybe have confronted it, and they've moved past it, and now he just, in the story, doesn't want her to leave. He doesn't want to lose that friend he has. And, I feel like that's what I get a lot more of the vibe from, which I like, is that it's more of that he's concerned about losing a friend rather than losing the romantic interest.
Really? Because I had the exact opposites. Because I felt like a lot of times in the songs, he would be talking about, well, how can I get you to stay? How can I do that right there? But there are a few times in the movie where Anna brings it up and says, listen, we're just friends. There's not going to be anything more than that. And it's awkward teenage conversation, but I definitely got the fact that he's trying his best to get over her, but he's really not.
Yeah, I think he still likes her, but I think that when they have to directly confront it, it's awkward for him. But I don't really think of him as somebody who has any actual hope for it happening, and that a lot of his sadness and what's going on and his desire to not have her leave is more not wanting to lose a friend as opposed to not wanting to lose dating her.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll delve into that a little bit more as these characters start to develop. We're also introduced to Anna's dad, who is driving them through, and this is when Anna's dad finds out that Anna is not planning on going straight to college. She's planning on taking a gap year to travel around Australia and go through the outback and see Uluru and, punch a wallaby in the face. I don't know what they do in Australia, but that's, something that's going on right there. And Dad is not too happy about this. And this is when we really start to see the first kind of breakdown of communication between the characters in this one. It's this, obviously they're playing it up for tension because shit's going to hit the fan later on, and Anna's going to go, oh, why was I so upset and mean to my dad? But it is what it is for right now. Yep. So,
yeah. I think like you're saying, with the breakdown of communication, this is the theme we're going to see later on too, is he doesn't even ask her about it. It's just, he basically just don't be stupid. If your mother could see me now, what would she say? So we're kind of seeing that the relationship isn't very good, and I think how they actually just talked about it would have been better. And John,
Yeah.
as the awkward kind of side character, is the one who introduces it, so it kind of throws that in there.
Yeah, because like Anna, she buys the plane ticket. She doesn't talk to him at all about this decision. She basically just makes it on her own. And I think there is definitely some aspect of Dad being pissed off about that, saying, "Well, you didn't talk to me about this. You didn't get my input. I'm your father, and you're a teenage girl. Obviously you're growing into your own woman and starting your own life." But he kind of feels insulted that she didn't come to him because of it.
And this is also where we learn that Anna's mother's dead. Though we don't quite know how she died. Do we ever learn that and when she died?
No, I don't believe so, but it's not really pertinent to the plot. It's just she doesn't have a mother figure. So
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So that's that. So we move on in, and we're introduced to our new character, Steph. Steph is played by Sarah Swire, which, bit of trivia for this movie right here, she was actually the woman who did all the choreography for this movie. So all the dance moves and all the dance numbers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was all her right
crazy.
there. Yeah, so that was pretty cool when I learned that. Steph is a character. She's another high school student. She is the closest thing to the Bernie Sanders of the group. She is obsessed with helping out the homeless at Christmas, thinks the town... Oh yeah, let's talk about the setting.
Oh, yeah.
So this movie is set in the tiny Scottish town of... the Wikipedia somewhere doesn't have it. It's like something Falls...
Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, Little Haven.
Little Haven, that's it, yeah. Little Haven, which is this tiny Scottish town. There's not much going on there, which is why Anna wants to get out so desperately. They're all high school students, and Steph finds out her girlfriend's not coming back for Christmas, and she's very, very upset about that. And then she also goes into a run-in with our antagonist of the movie, the crusty, mean old Mr. Savage.
Great name for villain.
Yes, exactly. Mr. Savage, he's got this real nasally voice the whole time, especially when he's singing, and I love it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because he was in Game of Thrones. He plays Thoros of Myr, I think that's how we say it, the guy with the flaming sword. And I was like, that face looks so familiar. And I was like, holy shit, it's the Game of Thrones guy. It's the guy who was mauled by a zombie bear. Cool.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and we also learned that at this point that Steph is Canadian, I believe, and her family is currently on a trip to Mexico.
Yes.
So she's currently alone, basically, by herself, while she's also she's trying to be a nice person, help these people out while her family are gone.
Yeah, she's trying to fill that void because, like, everyone has, and whether intentionally or not, abandoned her at Christmas time. So she's very disconnected from everyone and everything. And not only that, the crusty, mean old Mr. Savage is taking away her car, which I don't know if that's an actual thing over in the United Kingdom. But Mr. Savage comes up to her and says, well, if it's on school property, it belongs to the school. And then she's forced to turn her keys over.
Which is interesting.
Jesus.
Like, what if you like to drive to school? They're in high school. That probably is pretty normal. It's not like the parking lot was full.
Yeah, it was weird.
Anyway,
so that's when we get our first musical number, which is Breakaway. And the theme of this song is all about all of these characters just wanting and yearning for what they want. It's the Disney princess song. It's the yearning song where, Ariel's Part of Your World, or Belle's Bonjour, all of that right there, where they basically just explain all of their wants. Anna wants to get away from Little Haven. John wants Anna to stay. Steph wants people to actually listen to her about all of this homeless and injustice going on in this world. And then we're also introduced to two new characters. We have Chris and Lisa, who are our last kind of big characters in this movie. And they really don't have much personality.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I feel like Chris and Lindsay really aren't... What was her name? Chris and...
Lisa.
Lisa, okay, there we go. Chris and Lisa aren't really anything. I feel like that in the later song it comes through as to what they are. But
yeah, but they're basically they're hopelessly in love with each other, and there are Romeo and Juliet to the film, and,
Yeah.
There's one point later on in the beginning of the movie where they say, "Oh, I hope this lasts forever," and we're like, "Foreshadowing."
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, because they're,
so we got
they're the ones who are content with their lives, basically.
yes, exactly. And then we got one more character too, who is Nick, I believe his name was.
Yep.
Yes, Nick, who is an ex-boyfriend of Anna, or at the very least, they hooked up at one point. He is kind of the jerk bully. At one point, he draws on John's face, and he keeps going up to Anna and saying, "Hey, if you want to hook up sometime over Christmas break, give me a call." And Anna just goes, "Oh, man."
Meanwhile,
So-
her father's right behind her when he says that, which is a great,
Yes,
great scene.
that too. Yeah, that was good. So that's kind of the introduction to all of these characters right here. And at this point, we clearly know exactly what Anna wants, what John wants, what the dad wants, what Steph wants. Lisa and Chris are just there. We know what Nick wants. Nick wants to, get inside Anna again. And then that's about it.
Yeah.
So then we go over to... We find out that there's a Christmas show happening during this time. This whole movie takes place very close to Christmas. And during this scene, especially this breakaway musical number, there's little bits of hints of zombies here and there. Like at one point, a girl comes up with an inhaler and just starts breathing really, really, really heavily. And then we don't see it's an inhaler, so we're thinking, oh shit, is that a zombie? Oh, nope, just some girl with an inhaler. Little blood stains here and there.
Well, and did
People
you
are scratching them.
did you hear in the beginning, like on the radio? On the radio, somebody was just like, they're talking, like you could listen. They were saying like, oh, there's a pathogen. The CDC was like, oh, the CDC announced that there's a pathogen. It seemed like capable of reanimating, and then they cut it off to complain
Yeah,
about
the dad just like says, nope, more important thing to talk about.
It's just like, oh, what you could have known. We could have known.
Yeah, that it reminded me of that scene in Shaun of the Dead where Shaun is just flipping through channels, and then it keeps every single time they flip through, it creates this whole big monologue, but it switches between musical to news report to game show to everything like that. Yeah, and that's one thing I do like about this movie. Is when the shit actually does hit the fan and the zombies are revealed to the main characters, they're not just played for background gags. Like, there's no, oh, what is this? How could they be eating people? No, all of these teenagers know exactly what they're dealing with. Zombies destroy the head. Good. Done.
But actually,
So, yeah.
that does actually bring me up a question later. I wrote that on my notes because they just assume that it's the zombies. We never get a firm establishment of the rules. So when people get bit by the zombies and they're like, "Oh man, I'm going to turn into a zombie," we have no precedence for that.
What do you mean by that? Could you explain that a little bit more?
We never see somebody get bit and turn into a zombie.
I mean, we see people get bits, and then they cut away, and then they come back, and then they're zombies later on in the movie.
Well, we see that with certain characters later on. But
Yeah.
but at that point they already make the assumption that they're doomed once they get bit. But we never see that as an established law before. So there are
Okay.
times where characters kind of give up, like, "Oh, I got bit," and they give up, and then I'm just like, "But we don't know that that's how what happens yet. Like, we don't know if you have to
Okay.
die first. We don't know that this is the infects you and kills you, and then you become a zombie, or just whenever you die, you become a zombie."
Oh, so are we talking like, we don't know if it's Night of the Living Dead rules, Return of the Living Dead rules, Shaun of the Dead rules?
Yeah, we never quite get that. They assume Night of the Living Dead rules, so like,
Yeah.
I get it. But like, that was my
Yeah,
one issue I had with it.
Yeah, no, I assumed, I feel like the most popular zombie lore is you get bit, you turn into a zombie a few minutes later. If you're already dead, then you stay dead. It's not Return of the Living Dead, where the zombies are just absolutely insane and unkillable. Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed. And then, you destroy the head, bam, they're dead.
All right, so anyway,
That's what I assumed.
so all right, so back into the thing. Sorry, I keep going off.
Yeah,
tangents.
no, it's good. No, it's fine. So we went ahead and we go into the Christmas pageant scene, and I think I want to have you talk about this for the halibut.
Oh, well, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. So what scene am I missing?
So after they have their first song, we kind of meet the characters again, and they're at lunch, and they're all kind of sitting together. We have Lisa, Nick, John, and Anna all kind of sitting together, and kind of Anna's eyeing Nick from across the way, and we get that kind of comment where because Nick Steph North comes up again and asks Nick to come to the homeless shelter with her to film it, which I think this is kind of where we see a little more Steph's character, because we kind of realize that Steph is kind of on the outside completely. Like,
Yeah.
they're kind of their own little loner group, but she has nobody, because we kind of see her come up, and like I think that the actress does a really good job because she plays her really awkwardly.
Yeah.
Like, she comes up, kind of makes some, like, weird kind of lame jokes, and, like, asks him to come, asks Chris to come film with her so they can film the homeless shelter.
You
And
can clearly tell she's uncomfortable with all of it, yeah.
yeah, like she has some line where she's like, "Well, stick it to him," and they're just kind of like, "Okay, cool, bye." And like they're almost kind of dicks to her, which I like in the sense that like we get to see these different dynamics. Like not every bit like our characters aren't great, great people, and they kind of even though if there's somebody else awkward with them, they're willing to kind of be dicks back, and so then we kind of launch into our next song, which is Hollywood Ending, because
no such thing as a Hollywood ending, which is probably like my catchiest song.
Oh,
of the whole film.
it's so
like,
freaking catchy. And this song I really like because so now that we kind of at this point we don't really know about the relationship with Nick and Anna, but I think you can kind of recontextualize it, a lot of it around that, because in this discussion we kind of when we see Anna looking over at Nick. I think Lisa's like, man, who would ever like stoop them to who would ever stoop that low to fuck this guy? And you kind of see the awkward. And when you first watch it, you think, okay, it's awkward because obviously John wants to have relations with Anna. But then you realize, oh no, she's saying that because they all know that she had sex with Nick.
Yeah,
and so they all kind of bite their tongue. Oh fuck. And so then in Hollywood Ending, we have the song pick up, and John singing about how the Hollywood romance is a lie, and he won't really get the girl. Like this idea that he waits around and gets the girl, it won't happen, so he's going to kind of give up on it. And then we kind of cut back to Anna. And Anna.
Could I pause there for a second on that one real quick?
No, go for it.
Yeah, I really like John's section in the song, definitely, because, like you said earlier, Teenage Dan can definitely relate to that as well. I feel most men can relate to that real quick, where that lesson they have to learn is, it's... relationships are not you put in niceness points and then you get a relationship out of it. You got to look at the individual, you got to look at the person, and you got to move on from that. And you got to know, when it's just not going to work out for whatever reason. And sometimes it could be completely out of your control. Yeah. So I really like what they did in the song and how Nick kind of talks about that and kind of comes to terms with that.
Well, and actually, now you kind of brought up something an interesting idea to me. And like, we talk a lot about kind of like the female narrative that gets pushed in films and kind of like the stereotype that gets pushed in films of the girl waiting around for the Prince Charming, or kind of changing the man, like, changing the broken guy to help make him dateable, I guess. And I guess if that's kind of the common female narrative that's put up, or I think that's not some very female narrative, but the common narrative for women that we see put up in these kind of movies, it is interesting that I think we do actually, the common male narrative is the wait around, be the nice guy, and you will eventually get the girl.
And I do feel that this film touches on that, but it definitely doesn't glorify that at all.
Oh no, I think it's a rejection of it completely.
Yeah.
Which I like.
That's what I'm trying to get across right there. Yeah, it's an absolute rejection of that, which is nice. I like that.
Yeah, like it's like, because I think it is problematic to push that around. I think kind of if we talk about kind of indoctrination and what we get taught as young kids, that is something that it gets pushed up a lot. And like, while it is a lesson in trying to say like, hey, be nice, but it's also a lesson in not listening to the other person, which is ridiculous. So that was nice. But then kind of like recontextualizing in terms of Nick and what's going on in Anna's story. When I first heard it, I thought it was okay, because her first line is like, "Don't be mistaken, my heart's still breaking." And I thought it was about going to Australia and the fact that she thought that her father didn't care that her father thought that she didn't care that she was leaving him behind. And I thought originally, okay, so it's a song about her saying like, yeah, this still hurts me, but I still need to leave. But then I realized, oh no, it's her saying about the fact that everybody in the school, because the people are looking at her, they know that she fucked Nick, and Nick's talked about it. And so she's saying that, like, she has this hard attitude, but it's still hurting her that, Nick talked to people about the fact that she had sex and that the school knows about it. So part of her needing to break away is also her needing to get away from this environment where she feels like, she's viewed as something that she isn't. Because she talks about how, like, it doesn't matter if you, like, like the kill, marry, shag kind of thing, the line about, like, how it doesn't really matter to her, and that, like, she wishes that this, like, that... she's not a pure person, but she's not a salacious person either. And so I thought that was really interesting, kind of watching it the second time, being like, oh, okay, she's actually singing about how the relationship with Nick affected her and her social standing, not about her leaving, which I thought was awesome.
And she puts on such a tough exterior about it that, says, I don't, outwardly says, I don't care, that's just something like that. But it is affecting her, and her reputation is affecting how she behaves and how she acts. And like you said, I like how you phrased that. She just wants to get away.
Yeah, and I like that, because I think it also kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, is that what a lot about leaving to Australia is about? Is after being like in a school for a year where people talk about her sex life and openly kind of have these opinions of her?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's I don't know, changed that song a lot for me. I didn't really expect that. And also,
I like that.
And like to comment on what you talked about earlier, and feel free to interrupt me, but you mentioned kind of how Steph's actress, did the choreography. And actually, I really liked the choreography because it felt very High School Musical to me, and not High School Musical like the music, like the movie, but like in terms of like the movements were very simple. There was no over the top things that were going on.
Yeah.
And I don't think my dog's chewing a bone very loudly behind me. And I like that. It felt very like, I don't know, like unprofessional, but in a good way. Like, like yeah, these kids could be doing this kind of, and not like they're all like 40 or like 25-year-olds dancing around, which I'm sure they were, but you know, it felt a little bit more realistic to me. And I also like that they involved more than just the students. Like the lunch lady joined in on the dance and stuff, which I thought was cool, and she also joined in the singing to kind of show that yeah, this is a teen problem they're facing, but it's one that goes beyond. It's not just a teen issue. It's like a general like this is life, which I liked. I think a lot of these movies will have it as be like, hey, it's just a teen issue, and this is just kids going through their shit. But it's like, no, this woman here is also feeling the same way. She's a lunch lady at a school and probably isn't too happy about that fact. Like, maybe she is, but I'd assume that wasn't her goal when she was younger. And so the Hollywood ending works perfectly for her as well. That was cool.
Exactly, and I feel you can even expand upon that and just look at it as life in general. Nothing really is going to work out 100% of what you expected right there, but that's not a bad thing. You can adjust and you can deal with it. And, it's, okay, so I'm going off on a completely random tangent here.
Go for it.
But, so one of the books I've read over the last year was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And there's one chapter that talks about expectations in life and how you can look at things in certain perspectives. One chapter was about, and I'm going to pull up his name real quick. This band member, no, that's the wrong Wikipedia article. There we go. Dave Mustaine, and he is the guitarist for Megadeth, and he was actually involved in Metallica for a while, and he got kicked out of the band before Metallica got really, really big. And then he went ahead and he formed his own band, Megadeth. Megadeth is multi-platinum selling. He's a millionaire, makes a ton of money, but he admits in interviews that he's always felt like he was the guy who got kicked out of Metallica. And that's something that has always kind of haunted him for that one right there, even if he is a complete heavy metal rock star who really changed the music scene. Then, as a counterpoint to that, you have Pete Best of the Beatles, who was kicked out of the Beatles very early on and replaced with this funky-looking dude called Ringo Starr. And he really took that perspective and he ran the opposite direction with it. And in an interview in the 90s, he says, yeah, it sucked, and there were some years when I was extremely depressed about it, but I wouldn't have the life I have now if I hadn't been kicked out of the Beatles. So both of them had different ways of measuring success, and I feel no such thing as a Hollywood ending is kind of an acceptance of that as well. Some of the characters are kind of embracing that fact and saying, well, it's not going to work out exactly the way I expect, and that's okay. And then some of them are a little bit more hard on themselves about that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my little soapbox right there.
I like it.
Uh-huh. All right, cool.
Let's see. And so, do you want to keep talking about the song?
Nah, that's it.
No. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like along with kind of John and Anna, who kind of definitely have the kind of theme of being disillusioned with the world around them. We then have Lisa and Nick, who are singing kind of the star-crossed lover part that you mentioned earlier. Like, they're singing how they found the person they want, and they're kind of in that Hollywood movie pipe. They haven't kind of opened up. They haven't lost their innocence yet in that way. Like, we kind of imply that John kind of knocked out of what's going on in his life with what happens with Anna. And kind of that incident kind of wakes them both up to the world, while Lisa and Nick are still kind of absorbed within each other and don't see the world around them, which I really liked. I thought that the kind of the juxtaposition between the two, especially when they start singing along with each other, where you kind of hear them kind of singing how they want the Hollywood ending, meanwhile Anna and John kind of layer over them saying like there's no such thing. I thought it was a really nice. I don't know what you call it, harmony. It's not harmonizing, but whatever how it sounds like.
Juxtaposition, I guess, counterpoints, something like that.
And did you notice, like, you don't really notice it when you're listening to the song as much, but Savage has his little part, And I was watching
Yes.
it again, and at first I was just like, all right, it's just showing Savage being there. And at first it's like, all right, is this like a negative thing? What's going on with him? But I kind of felt sorry for Savage, because, like, which is weird to say, but I like watching it again and like kind of seeing the fact he's been working there for this long and he's about to be the dean, or and he kind of the way he walks away. I almost kind of looked at it as him looking back at kind of his youth and seeing what they're doing and kind of like that hopping around they're doing. And he just kind of turns around and walks away kind of sadly. And it kind of set more.
Yeah, he's the Dave Mustaine of that part right here, where he feels, and we never really explore his past, but we do know he's a deeply disturbed individual who likes control, and we don't really see what made him that way. Maybe that was, a part that was cut from the original script. But yeah, no, when I saw that first part there too, and I think this is what you're getting at, is I kind of suspected there's a deeper underlying sadness to Savage.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, we never really explore.
Well, yeah, it's almost kind of like the bitterness. Like what we see later is maybe just like the bitterness of him not having that, which is which I like. But yeah. Anyway, all right, cool. So that's a Hollywood ending. Great song.
Yeah, it's good stuff right there. So we're going through there, and then we go into the Anna and Steph have a little scene in the parking lot where they're talking about how Anna is so upset about her dad and doesn't want to be with him anymore. And then Steph is talking about how her girlfriend isn't coming down for Christmas, and her dad are 5,000 ways in Mexico, and just how alone she is. And that's a pretty simple scene. We just kind of connect with each other on that one right there. And this is really the first time where Anna is actually nice to Steph, so it's nice. We get a quick little scene where Anna and John are at the bowling alley, where they both work at the very end, and not much there. They're just kind of complaining about their job, and then I think this is also one time too where John tries to convince her to stay just a little bit, just by having a little throwaway line. But again, he's not really hammering in the point. He's keeping it mostly to himself, but that's just kind of him testing the waters.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we get to the fish wrap.
Oh, God, the fish wrap. I love the fish wrap.
So tell me about the fish wrap.
So, all right. So earlier on in the scene, we see these two kids walking out. And this might just show something about me. I don't know. We see these kids walking out of like the theater in these penguin costumes, and Savage is like, "You flightless," he calls himself "you flightless chancers," and he tries to get them to come back in. And you're kind of like, all right, what are these weird penguin costumes for? But when we cut back to the Christmas pageant, we see these two people in penguin costumes singing this song, this rap called the Fish Rap, and it's spelled W-R-A-P. And as you should know, that means it's just full of puns. And it's just the most punny rap I've ever heard, and it's the best.
I mean, it's a 30-second song, and I have the lyrics pulled up right now, so let's go with it.
All right.
My favorite dish is fish, mother flipper, and I eat for the hell of it a nice bit of halibut. That's not the only fish they got. Mackerel. I can take more than a snackful. Salmon with some jammin'. I can drink it by the tapful. Haddock is all radical. I eat the fins, I eat the gills. Pollock, cod, flounder, guppy. All fish is delicious. Sue me. I know I kind of messed up with the rap right there at the end right there, but you get the point. It's completely out of nowhere. It's hilarious. It's the weirdest song in the movie.
And it's at a Christmas
pageant. And it's
pageant.
never mentioned again.
Like, it's at a Christmas pageant for some reason.
Yes.
And they did a great job. It was beautiful. That movie was made just for that.
Yes, it was great. I loved it.
And this is also when we kind of jump to and get to see Savage and Anna's dad talking a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we get the idea that basically Anna's father works for Savage, and Savage is kind of pissed off at this whole Christmas festival. Basically, it's not going the way he wants it.
He doesn't have control. That's the biggest thing with him and the next song that comes on, he is really, really pissed off about it because it's not something he would put on up there. And, once again, his whole character arc is he wants control of everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was great.
Yep.
And then we get our fourth song. Actually, the Fish Rap was a great song.
Yes.
And I didn't write down the name of it. Is it just...
It's that time of year. We're talking about the one Lisa sings, right?
Yeah. And do you want to explain this one? This one is great.
Oh, yes. Let me pull up the lyrics again. There we go. So basically, when we meet Lisa, she's saying that she's got this whole big number that she's going to do on herself by herself. at the Christmas show at the school. And remember, this is a high school show. And she gets on up there in a real slinky blue dress and starts seductively singing a song about how much she wants to fuck Santa. Some of the best lyrics in here are, "My chimney needs a good unblocking. If you're feeling frozen stiff, my fire's burning hot for you. There's one gift I want to unwrap. Let me sit upon your lap. So come on over and unload your sack. Tie those reindeer up so you might be a while."
And meanwhile, like while she's singing the song, she's looking at the audience for her boyfriend who's out filming the video with Steph. But what she does see is her boyfriend's Graham sitting there and giving a little thumbs up while she's singing this very kind of inappropriate song and blading the microphone while these guys in red suspenders and her shirtless dance behind her. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's so weird. This section of the film right there, I don't know, tonally it seems a lot different from the rest of the film. I don't know if it was just someone said, hey, we should inject a little bit more humor in there, but it's because the rest of the movie is not very tongue-in-cheek. Like, a lot of the moments are played fairly seriously, and there are some emotionally hitting moments later on, but it's just weird.
Well, I also kind of took like the moment too. Like, I think if we're going to characterization of like Lisa and them, it is still kind of that fun-loving high school. Like that's like a very like quirky high school movie thing to do, And so it kind of puts it into that Hollywood story again of like, oh, look at these kids, pissing off the big mean teacher during the talent show, and like nobody gets it. Like it was kind of, I think that was kind of back into that Hollywood moment, which I kind of thought worked with the story.
I don't know. It's been a while since I saw High School Musical, so
but
I don't remember a scene about fucking Santa in there.
Dude, that was like every song. Come on,
Oh shit, you're right.
Get your head in the game. It was obviously about sex.
Oh my god, and we're all in this together?
Yeah, see?
That was about an orgy. Yeah.
Soaring, flying. Wow. Come on, it's obviously about coming.
Wow.
Like, come on.
Wow. Okay, God.
Damn.
I got some talk to Vanessa Hudgens to do.
Yeah.
So we got that right there. So then we go ahead to the bowling alley scene. We head back to John and Anna at the bowling alley with their nighttime job, and the cleaning lady is there. Oh, before that happens, Mr. Kid Swatters / Mr. Savage is hearing noises outside the high school, and he opens up the door, and there's nothing there. But then he closes the door, and we're seeing these blood streaks on the other side of the door, telling us that the zombies are extremely close, and people are going to die very soon. So that's that.
And actually, just a quick comment there. When I first saw that, so he kind of kicks the door open. You see kind of like ashes, or I'm guessing it's supposed to be snow, floating around outside.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, I thought it was some like, I don't know, weird alternate zombie movie where like he opened the door and it hit it and it turned into ashes. And I was like, oh shit, it's gonna be some like, now it's like in the air and it's gonna breathe it in. And I had this like really cool moment of like, I don't know, like disintegrating
like a Return
zombies.
of the Living Dead thing where zombies can exist in particle form.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, it's like he like, I don't know, maybe he like Avengers Endgame, Avengers hit him and he's like turned into dust and he's gonna like float around, he's gonna breathe it in, Savage is gonna become like a zombie. And I was really excited for that, and then it didn't happen. So I had a moment of like wicked excitement.
So yeah. So then we get into the next scene where John and Anna are still at the bowling alley, and this is kind of another bonding moment between the two, and they kind of hammer in the point again that Anna just wants to break away, and Anna wants to be free and go to Australia and do her own thing because she just wants to live life on her own terms, and John wants her to stay because he is still heavily infatuated with her, and things are just... He is not only going to miss the girl he has a crush on, but also his best friend as well. And they knock out the cleaning lady. At one point, Anna forgets to pick up a shoe, so John decides to do a cutesy kind of, hey, I'm going to take this hockey stick and I'm going to kick it in the bin. And he misses and accidentally hits the cleaning lady on the head with a bowling shoe, and she is just out cold. And they just decided to drag her to the bathroom and just leave her there.
I don't think so. I think they like woke her up and then left.
Well, she comes back later and she's in the bathroom as a zombie.
I think we just assumed that she went there and died or something. I don't know, or got bit.
Okay.
Though this also we get a scene that's planted for later, where they are letting all these boulders out. There's all these like drunk boulders out, and you can kind of see that like Anna's kind of bored with the job, but John kind of likes it. John like enjoys the hokiness of it, which I think kind of ties into the idea that he is not quite as disillusioned as she is. With what's going on with everything. Like even in the Hollywood Ending song at one point. She actually see her turn to him and sing the lyrics at him while he's kind of dancing around like an idiot. So we kind of get this idea that he doesn't hate it quite as much, but they basically try to list or name all of the bowlers as different reindeer. So they got on Dasher, on Dancer, on Donner, and they basically just fuck up. None of them know the names. That comes back later.
Yeah, definitely. So we got that. Anna and John go home for the night. They share this really cute moment in the snow where they're talking about the different reindeer, and you really get the sense that they both care about each other. It's just on different wavelengths.
Oh, and actually, that reminds me. Just got a quick thing. That fake snow. Both times I watched it, it annoyed me.
Oh yeah.
Like, was it fake snow? Because we don't see snow anywhere else. Was it fake snow, or were they just laying in like a really nicely ground like sawdust kids play place?
No, it's definitely fake snow because they're making the little snow angels right there, and I've never seen a playground like that before.
I was like flabbergasted. Like so much of my time was taken up. I'm like, it's not snowing right now. We don't see snow anywhere else, but it's one
it's
place.
It's just asbestos. That's all it is.
Like that really that irked me a lot, and I was just like, maybe it's kind of showing the idea that they don't actually have snow, and they're just making the best out of it by making snow angels in it. I'm like, maybe I'm just thinking about this too much.
No, I think they were trying to play that for snow, but it was funny.
Bad. Well, and this
because I'm looking around at there. There's little piles of snow here and there, but yeah, I think it was snow.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, and this is also kind of where we get so John basically, Anna's talking about how she's going to try. They're going to try to basically turn their lives around now. John says like he's going to try to work out so they can go visit her in Australia, and that kind of gives him hope. Mm-hmm. And they kind of try to make this kind of idea that we can at least we can enjoy the time we have. And they kind of make that resolution.
Yeah.
And John also makes a comment about All of the Other Reindeer. Did you ever see that movie, All of the Other Reindeer?
I have not. No.
It was like a movie about a dog named Olive, and at one point, Santa I think loses his reindeer, and he says on a news announcement, he's like, "Olive, I need all of the other reindeer." So this dog goes out to become the reindeer. Sorry,
that sounds amazing.
Crappy movie, but that's all I could think about when he said that. Anyway.
Yeah, and doesn't he make a joke about that later on? He's just like, there's another...
Yeah.
Or is this the scene where he makes the joke of saying... Yeah, okay, gotcha. He was like, one of the reindeers called Olive. What do you mean, Olive? Yeah, how the song goes. All of the other reindeer. And then it's just like, God damn it, John, that's the worst dad joke ever. That's the type of joke I would tell.
Clearly the person who wrote that knows. They've seen that great movie.
Yeah, that must
be a callback.
So anyway, we get our next musical number, which is our fifth song, which is Turning My Life Around, which is probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
It's so good.
It's actually what sold me on doing this movie for a review. You sent it over to me, and it was just like, just watch this, and you'll get a pretty good tone of what the movie's about. And I was like, okay, sounds good. So Anna wakes up. She's in an amazing mood. She's ready to turn her life around. She's got Australia coming along. She's feeling good after the conversation with John from last night. She's eaten some chocolate, and she puts her headphones on, and she's basically dancing to school. And during this time, while she's dancing and singing, the world is going to shit around her. It's basically the one scene in Shaun of the Dead where Shaun goes to the convenience store, picks up his ice cream, and then comes on back and just completely ignores the fact that the world's going to hell around her and people are eating each other and fighting each other and there's blood and destroyed cars everywhere. Mm. It's pretty much the exact same thing, only in musical form.
I love the things that kind of happen. Like there's these three girls who a zombie's kind of near Anna, so these three girls come over and start hitting them with their backpacks and yelling at her to leave, and she's just dancing in front of it, and then they just run away.
Yeah, a lady drops her stroller, and then a zombie comes in and starts eating the baby out of the stroller, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. And then the whole time, there's this really peppy Turning My Life Around song where she's going, hey, things are going to be okay, things are going to be fine. And my favorite part is the refrain keeps repeating, what a time to be alive, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For other zombies wandering around. So they go on in, and then Anna eventually meets up with John in a graveyard, of all places, and they start dancing back and forth when a snowman comes on up, and that's kind of how the song ends. A man dressed in a snowman outfit. And Anna comes on over and says, don't worry, I'm a first aider, I'll help you out, I'm just going to turn you over, and that's when we realize, holy shit, zombies are attacking, we're in the apocalypse part. So Anna and John start freaking out about it. They eventually kind of run to a playground. The snowman follows them over, and they manage to decapitate it using a seesaw, which creative death. I'll give them that. And the zombie still kind of rolling around in that snowman outfit, just kind of moving back and forth. And this is when they start sitting down, and this is when they start talking about, okay, these are zombies. We got to destroy the head. This is what's happening right there. And again, like I said earlier, I really like the fact that they just kind of went with it. There was no, oh my god, they're eating people. What are they doing? They just knew instinctively, these are zombies. This is what we have to do. Now let's figure out a plan. The next scene, we head on back to the school where everyone is still there after last night's Christmas pageant, because I guess at some point between then and now, people realized that the zombies were coming on out and they did not want to go home, and they figured they were safer in the school. So they're all in the cafeteria. They're all distributing water and food. And Mr. Savage comes on in and basically says, okay, I need to take control of this. There's an army base really close by. They will come. They will take care of this. We just need to keep our heads cool. And once again, this is Savage trying to establish control and showing that character trait right there. So that's that. Yeah. Our next scene, we have Steph and Chris at the bowling alley. And they don't work there, right? They just kind of found themselves there.
Yeah, they found that the door was open in the back and they went in.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So they were out doing their filming thing, and they found that the door was open, and they just kind of came on in to keep themselves safe. And at this point, Anna and John make their way back to the bowling alley, too, and they find the four of them together. And this is when they start talking about all of this going on right there. And there's this really clever scene that I haven't done very well in a lot of other zombie movies, but they go on their computers and they take a look at Instagram and they take a look at Snapchat and they take a look at how social media is kind of affecting the zombie apocalypse. There's hashtags of zombies going around, evac selfie, where people are taking selfies with zombies, moving around right there. And at one point, Chris says, oh my god, Justin Bieber is a zombie. And they start talking about how they think, is Taylor Swift a zombie? No, what about Ed Sheeran? No, I'm not so sure about that. But it's, these are teenagers, and it really hammers in the point that even though the apocalypse is going around upon them, they're still gossiping and they're still addicted to their phones. Yeah. Which I think is going to tie into the theme you wanted to talk about when we get to our next song. So I think that's that.
Let's see, what else we got?
We get a fight scene.
We get a fight scene, yeah. So we get our first kind of... Because I think at this point... Excuse me, we cut to... I think, is it Steph who's in the bathroom first, or is it when Anna goes to the bathroom?
Steph is in the bathroom.
So Steph goes to the bathroom. No, actually, no, Anna goes to the bathroom, and... they're in there together, and they find the janitor woman who John hit with a shoe earlier is zombified. And we get this kind of great kind of take charge line moment for Steph, which I think kind of plays into her character arc a lot, about somebody who kind of feels like she doesn't have control over what's going on and doing anything. So she just kind of runs in and bashes this woman's head in with the toilet lid, which I've never seen before in a movie, which I love. She just completely destroys her
Did the
head.
new Halloween do that?
With the toilet lid? Putting the head in the thing and just slamming the toilet up and down?
Yeah, didn't that happen to the reporter in the new Halloween?
I don't think we saw her or the other guy actually die.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't actually see how they died. Yeah. Which is awesome. And then after that, some zombies Kool-Aid Man through the wall, just break down. It's actually it's all the bowling guys that they kicked out earlier.
Yeah, it's the bachelor party, the stag party guys.
It's great.
Yeah. At one point, Chris takes two bowling balls and just slams it into the side of the zombie's head, and it's wonderful. Anna takes a hockey stick. I think it's a hockey stick, and just slams around. There's a lot of good teamwork going on with this one right here.
Yeah.
At one point, Steph impales a zombie with a spatula, and she gets really, really happy with herself.
Yeah.
There's this scene where one of the zombies grabs Steph's breast, right? And then that's when she impales him.
Yeah.
And then she goes, fuck off! And it just keeps boom, impales. A lot of creative kills in this one. I really like this. Oh, the zombie, she bowls the zombie head and gets a strike, and then the zombie comes on back. It's very slapstick, and it's very funny. I think they were trying to go for a Shaun of the Dead, kind of Don't Stop Me Now type of thing at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the climax of the movie, but it's a fun little scene.
And then we get
So we get there, and we get our gore quota for the movie.
basically.
So we head on over back to the school, and Mr. Savage and Lisa are talking with each other, and Mr. Savage gets a little more character development where he's saying, I see civilization on the brink of destruction, and I am doing my best to make sure that only the strongest survive, which is... Lisa is very concerned about Chris's grandmother, who's not doing too well, and she says, hey, could we move her because she's, her back can't take this hard floor. And Savage says, no, she's weak. Only the strong should survive. And we're like, okay, Savage, who hurt you? What's going on here? And then we get to our next musical number. We go back to the bowling alley, and we get our song Human Voice, which is all about how none of them are communicating with each other and how the phones are going out and how the technology is going down and how desperately they all want to connect with each other again. And you kind of hit on one of the bigger themes of the movie when we were talking about this last, so I'm going to let you take point on this one. And what exactly do you think this movie is about in terms thematically?
Well, yeah, I think, because I feel like this, I remember when I first heard this song, I was kind of surprised. Well, not surprised, but when I kept listening to the lyrics, it didn't really fit with anything else that was going on in the movie until I kind of thought about the theme that, I think a lot of the song and a lot of the movie is just kind of about the lack of communication between people. Just like we get that in the beginning with the father and her, how they don't actually talk about what her plans are. It doesn't seem like they really talk about their mother. And just John and Anna have this kind of lack of communication about what's going on between them. And I think that this theme is very prevalent of just people become so absorbed in their technology and kind of absorbed in kind of what's going on in their lives that they're not actually talking to each other, just kind of making assumptions, and they're not really talking about how they feel. And we kind of find that out later with Nick as well, when we kind of find out about Nick and her history, that they never really talked about it, and that's what kind of makes her feel very uncomfortable, is they have this moment together that they never really address. And that they're also absorbed in kind of technology and the screens and kind of the life that they are perceived as having, that they don't really want to expose themselves or kind of discuss what's really happening. I thought I took a lot more notes. I can look at my notes. I did not write anything about this song, which I thought I did.
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere. But I do feel that in terms of how well it analyzes the message of this movie, this one probably hits the hardest out of all of them. And, like you said, there's a whole bunch of self-absorbed teenagers, and even Anna, should I had something for this one? Anna, and how she just wants to get away from it all. She wants to disconnect from everyone because of everything that's happening in the school and from all the gossip and, mean looks she gets. Even in the turning my life around, when she's completely oblivious to the chaos going around her as she's walking to school and singing and dancing. There's definitely a theme of self-absorption and not paying attention to the moments and communicating with each other in this film.
And I like to, one of the lyrics that they say is, there's so much to fear in all this noise. One of the lines is there's so much to fear in all this noise, but all I want to hear is human voice. And I feel like that's commentary on what's happening around them, but also in terms of just modern internet culture. There's so much there's so much just kind of scary things on the internet, and so many kind of extremists and people who just kind of go in different directions and push so many strong emotions around and kind of just throw out accusations.
Yeah, you got your echo chambers, and social media has only exemplified that. So.
Yeah, and they're saying it's so that itself is just so impersonal and just kind of scary in terms of just what you're seeing, that and the pure amount of just I don't know, sad and unfortunate things are happening in the world that are on the internet and are kind of people kind of push around, that that one-on-one communication doesn't really have that as much because it's more personal, and they're kind of calling out for that. They want that back, which I really like. Yeah.
Yep. So at this point right here, they kind of move through that, and they decide that they're going to leave the bowling alley and head towards the school, just to see if they can meet everyone. The army base is really close by. Their family and friends are there, and they're going to have to connect in that way.
Well, and
so...
oh, sorry, one before we get to them, are you going to them leaving right now?
No, so you want to talk about the ball pit?
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
right,
talk
sorry.
about the ball pit.
I just love this. Okay, so we cut into the morning, and they wake up, and we kind of seen the ball pit that was in the bowling alley, and they all wake up inside there. And, like, I'm sorry, that's the most fucking genius thing I've ever seen. Like, that is how you survive a zombie apocalypse. You fucking sleep in a ball pit, because there's air between the balls, you have air to breathe. None of the zombies are going to see you. And if one of them lands on top of it, it's not going to do anything and, like, crawl into it. Like, it's so smart. Like, I was like, I feel like in a zombie movie I haven't seen, like, I know it's ridiculous for this to be the zombie movie that has, like, the wise decision that blows my mind, but I was just so impressed with that idea that, like, holy shit, sleep in a ball pit. Nothing bad will happen.
Zombies won't be able to see you. And what they do is they take the ball pits and then they turn it over, so it's kind of a Pirates of the Caribbean canoe at the bottom of the ocean, or not canoe, boat at the bottom of the ocean, where they put the ball pits on top of their heads, and they kind of wander through the zombies with that ball pit on top of their heads, so the zombies won't be able to see them. And whenever a zombie gets too close, they just crouch down and then put the ball pit to the ground, so they're hidden inside there. And that's what they do. So they start wandering out through the bowling alley, and they've got their little ball pits shield going on through. One zombie eventually sits and pees on the ball pits. Thankfully, no one gets wet because it's plastic. But eventually, a zombie who is cut in half and just lying on the ground sees their ankles and starts making their way towards them. And they do a lot of clever things with this. Like, at one point, they stick their hand out with their phone so they could see what's going on using the camera app. But eventually, the situation seems pretty dire. All the zombies are closing in on them. When, out of nowhere, we have Nick, Anna's ex-boyfriend / flame, come on up with his jock buddies, singing a song about how much they love killing those zombies.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
So, Nick, at this point in the movie, he is completely embracing the zombie apocalypse, and he's saying, like, this is fun, I get to go out, and I get to slaughter zombies, and loot, and raid, and, you know, I'm enjoying this. I'm making lemonade out of these lemons right here. Anna kind of says, listen, that's not for us. We have to go ahead, and we want to go traveling. We want to still get out of here. We can't come with you. We can't loot. Eventually, Nick decides to convince him and says, okay, listen, we'll take you to the school. Let's just stick together for now. And that's kind of what they decide to do. Anything to talk about with this thing?
No, the song's pretty, I thought Soldier at War was a pretty good song.
Yeah, it's a catchy song.
I did like the weapons, like, because, like, one of the lines he says is, like, you know, have fun. He's like, step 1, get yourself ready. Step 2, have fun. Be creative and have fun.
Yeah, and then use your imagination as well. That was part of it.
Like, and it's great because, like, you see, like, one kid has, like, 2 watermelons as a weapon. One kid has, like, an Xbox controller with the cord attached, so he, like, swings around like a flail and, like, wraps up a zombie with it. And, like, one kid is holding 2 knives as if he's like X-23 from the X-Men series. It's great. It's just like it takes that idea of, like, yeah, there are all these kids who have this kind of power fantasy of killing zombies, and this is what they would do. Like, I definitely see that as, like, when I was a kid, I was like, man, if there were zombies, it'd be kind of cool. We could, like, take them down, and, like, that was that childhood fantasy right there. It was great.
Yep. And then it could not have happened to a better character. Like, he was the exact way to convey that medium through there.
Yeah.
So we got that, and then we cut back to the school a little bit, and Savage is quickly losing authority. The people are saying, listen, the army base was completely taken over. All of the army guys are zombies right now. There is no hope for us. We need to get out of here. We need to come up with a plan. And Savage has this, you know, mustache twirling moment where he's saying, oh, I have a plan, all right. And then they cut to something else. So obviously Savage is going to betray the people, the survivors, in some way. And we'll come back to that later. There's this really cute scene where John and Anna are pushing each other in a shopping cart, and they're just kind of going back and forth through there. And going back to their relationship, this is the one scene where they actually do talk about them as a romantic potential. And this is where I really, really got the sense that John still wanted something more.
Yeah.
Because Anna just completely shuts him down and says, "You're a good friend, John." And John says, yeah, I know. No, John, listen to me. You're a good friend.
Yeah.
And the look on John's face is just like, I could see his heart breaking in two. And he's just like, oh, okay, I get what you mean. And then they switch shopping carts. And that's really all it boils down to. But
I love that scene.
Yeah.
And I think the way they do it, too, because like so it starts out with John pushing her in the cart and they're talking. And she's kind of worried about what's going on. And like, so he's kind of the positive one. And she's kind of like the downbeat John Chart one. So she's sitting facing him in the cart, like kind of her back against the front of it, while he's looking at him while he's pushing. And then when the time comes where he's like, hey, at least you'll be here. Like, you won't be going anywhere. That's kind of good. He has kind of positive outlook while she's kind of like, we're all going to die here. And then when that switch comes, when he's like, it'd be nice to have you here. And she's like, but hey, John, you're my best friend. And he gets downtrodden. Then they switch. So she's kind of one supporting him, but he refuses to look at it. So he's sitting with his back to her. And I thought the body language, the way they kind of set that up was really smart, because it was him supporting her while her kind of being in it with him. And then when it turns to her supporting him, he can't face her, which I thought was really nice.
I just literally pulled the screenshot of the movie right there, and I'm going to send that over to you. But that completely exemplifies the feeling of that movie right there, where, Anna's kind of smiling and looking forward to the future. Yeah, because she's also talking about at this point how she is still planning on going to Australia, even though everything that happened, she's still keeping positive. She's still moving on through. And John is just completely heartbroken at this point. But I'm really glad the movie did that. I'm really glad that they didn't go the route of, they learned to love each other again through this awful apocalypse. Sometimes that's actual life. And, it's not fair to Anna to, have John keep pining after her. So just cutting that off at the source, nipping that in the bud, I'm really glad the movie did that.
Well, I kind of think, we talk about Shaun of the Dead a lot. I actually didn't really like in Shaun of the Dead at the end where Liz kind of and him get back together at the cost of Nick Frost. Like, I kind of really didn't like that. I thought that was kind of like a...
Yeah. Bros before hoes.
Yeah. It was just like, I get it. Like, it was a redemption for Nick and kind of showing that, he cared about him and stuff, but it was also just like, I never...
Shaun didn't really improve as a person.
Yeah, he didn't. He just kind of got the girl that he wanted. So I like that in this one they kind of say, like, this is, friends, characters, male and female characters can just be friends and it will work out. Well, kind of.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So it's all good. So at this point, Nick basically says, hey, guys, there's a shortcut through this Christmas Tree Emporium. And everyone's just like, guys, this is a terrible idea. Well, if we don't take this shortcut, it's going to be dark by the time they get out. And
I'm sorry, what the fuck? How long are those buildings that you can't fucking go around?
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing, too, because they're in basically a shopping plaza. It's just like, okay, so you have to go to the other end of this outdoor mall. So what? It's
I feel like anybody watching that read that for exactly what it was. Like, all right, guys, we need to thin the herd a little bit. Let's go through here.
Yeah,
we have too many people alive right now. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. They go through the Christmas Tree Emporium. Surprise, surprise. Zombies come on out. Ooh, this is the part where Anna gets her main weapon. Oh, yeah? She's got a gigantic plastic candy cane that she sharpens the end of. So it's it's basically a spear at this point, and it's wonderful.
Actually,
perfectly exemplifies the Christmas thing, perfectly exemplifies the character.
Was it plastic or was it wood? Because at one point she hit something and it has a very, thick sound to it. I think it might be supposed to be wood. Because I think plastic wouldn't do the damage she's doing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, so wood, metal, I don't know, something like that. But yes, she kicks some ass with it. It's great. Nick loses his jock buddies, and this is the point where... Chris goes back for his phone at one point.
Yeah, well, this is kind of where we see Chris kind of absorbed, in that phone. And we get actually a nice scene because Steph saves him, and Steph, we keep seeing Steph as, the competent one here. Steph is the hero of this movie, basically. And she kind of confronts him about the fact that he almost lost his phone, and he's just like, hey, but this is, kind of back to that human voice. Things these are the only memories I have. These are the only things that I... he thinks that Lisa?
Luz.
Yeah, he thinks Lisa's dead basically at that point. He's like, this is all that I have in my family and my girlfriend. So he's very attached to it. And it's kind of a nice little thing.
And if he loses that, then he loses the memories when he doesn't realize that, it's more than the phone and pictures. It's
And we kind of get that thing that Steph is also worried about her family. Because we kind of he makes an asshole comment about how her parents left her or something like that. and he's like, "Oh, yours are alive," something like that, which is kind of like an interesting comment.
Yeah. But anyway, Nick is really kind of sad about losing. Excuse me. He's really like macho sad about losing his friends, but he just kind of glares at them with a single tear rolling down his face. And then he says, "Let's keep moving. There's no use waiting in the past."
Like, they should have kept.
Anna tries. Yeah. Yeah, Anna tries to connect with him a little bit, but he just kind of shrugs her off. He's trying to act tough and moving on in. So we got that right there. And this is a scene where John comes on out, and John and Anna are walking on through, and John tries to lighten up the mood by saying, "Hey, I remember the rest of the reindeer." And he starts counting them off, throws his hands up in the air to basically be a victory, and Zombie comes out of nowhere. John gets bitten at this point, which, like, honestly, at this point in the movie, I was kind of expecting things to turn around for Anna and John and kind of go the Shaun of the Dead routes. So I'm really surprised that they kill him off this early. Well, I mean, I guess it's not early; it's an hour into the film.
That's true.
But yeah, this scene kind of shocked me for that one right there.
I
how about
felt
you?
it coming. I didn't really see him surviving to the end. I thought he was going to die somehow. I didn't quite know how.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too surprised when it did happen. I was kind of surprised at the way that the abruptness of what happened after. Though if you do notice, actually, when that's going on, there is like a piano version of Turning My Life Around playing in the background right before he gets bit, into that little emotional scene, which I kind of liked. Because it was kind of like, I don't know, like you'll see a couple times when characters die, they'll play kind of a piano version of one of the songs that they sing. I thought that was really nice for him. Kind of that's kind of his send off. Which I enjoyed.
Yeah, so that's that. So he gets bitten right there. Anna and him get separated from the rest of the group by a group of zombies, and then John decides to do his big heroic attempt where he bear hugs Anna from behind and then just backwards barrels through the zombies, using his own body to shield her, and tosses her aside to the rest of the group, and then he just kind of gets mauled by zombies. So that's the end of John.
Unfortunate. And then, so what do you think about what happened after that? What did you think about... So we have a nice little scene where she is, fighting against... And Nick has to kind of hold her back as she tries to get to him. And actually, sorry, just to rewind a little bit. What I do actually really love about that scene is when he gets bit, there's that like immediate acceptance about what's going to happen. And he has this kind of look on his face of like, well, shit. Like, and I kind of love it because it's kind of heartbreaking. Because I almost kind of feel like, again, like that idea that I kind of felt he had some acceptance of the not Hollywood ending was kind of just that was just his reaffirmation of what was going to happen. He's kind of like, well, fuck, I guess I don't get the girl. And then he's like, all right, and then he did his thing. So like I kind of really like that. I don't know if that like was intentional what they wanted it to be, but like I found that little expression made it kind of heartbreaking because it was just him kind of accepting his fate and being like,
yeah. No, I really like that too. It wasn't any, well, maybe I can change that. There wasn't any arguing. He used that as his heroic moment. He realized this is what I need to do, and yeah, it sucks, but I'm going to go ahead and do it too. And I feel that acceptance is very quick too with another death that occurs later on in the movie that we can talk about when we get there. But yeah, it's, once again, the characters in this movie, they don't sit down and say, oh, maybe I can bargain with this, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. No, they know the rules of the zombies, and there's no sitting down and having the same discussion we've seen in zombie movies a million times before. It's, I'm bit, I'm going to turn into a zombie, I don't have much time, what can I do with that time? So,
and so then after that, like, she's freaking out, and Nick's doing, kind of hold her back, basically. And there's this line we get from Steph, who, is at this point our kind of resident badass, resident good person at doing everything. And she kind of sticks her face in Anna's face and says, "Your dad is waiting for you." Yeah? And that's kind of like her slap her awake kind of moment. And to me, that felt really flat. Like, I thought that was like first off, the actress didn't deliver that line very well, which is unfortunate because I think she does a really good job with her character otherwise. But I just think it's also a bad line because I was thinking, like, in this moment, like, your best friend's getting mauled and all this stuff. If somebody were to be like, "Hey, your dad's waiting for you," like, not that I don't like my family or whatnot, but like the immediacy of a friend being mauled in front of you isn't gonna take the back seat to a possibility of somebody who's far away, Yeah.
I think what she was going for with that one right there is she was trying to get her refocused. It wasn't a, hey, ignore your friend, but Anna was clearly just in berserker mode, and that was her sun's coming down, big guy moment, where she said, listen, yes, it sucks, but we need to keep focused. We need to keep going. We can mourn him later.
I just feel like it had, in the movie, it had an immediate effect of her, like, immediately sobering up, okay, let's go. And I just wish there was more. I wish there was a little bit more of a conflict.
She was trying to hold it in a little bit.
I wish there was a little bit more of a break in it. Like, I don't like this idea that she just, like, I don't know. It felt very, the movie needs her to go in this direction, so we're going to push in that direction immediately. Well, I feel like there'd be a little bit more. And then that kind of also, like, then we get kind of Anna's badass moment, quote unquote, where she basically slaps zombies with her candy cane, which sounds like a porn. Anyway, that also fell flat for me. I thought that because again, it was supposed to be this dramatic moment, and I think what the issue was they held on these very long shots of her winding up and doing this ridiculous looking swing with the candy cane to kind of show that she's serious now and she's on top of it. But I think editing wise, they should have done a lot quicker, closer shots of like short, quick shots of her stabbing, smacking, smashing, and it would have, I think, kind of articulated that idea more of her being angry. I think that would have felt a lot more angry and powerful with those quick cuts than these long kind of open shots of her winding up and swinging the thing around her head a couple times before hitting a zombie. I think it kind of messed up with the pace and the emotion of what was. I don't think the cuts and the way that it was filmed matched the emotion they were going for. I think it was too. You were seeing too much. It was too broad. It was kind of they were pulled back too much, which I think kind of doesn't help give this idea of in her head she's has this turmoil going on right now. Like I could see what they're going for. I just thought that they weren't showing it properly. I thought they could have done a little bit different with it.
Yeah, because Anna really doesn't have a mental collapse at this movie. I mean, she has her badass moment right here, but for the rest of the movie, she doesn't seem that broken up about everything that's been going on. She still keeps her positivity. She still keeps her moving on through. And except for that one scene at the very, very end of the movie, that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
so.
It's just like to me, it just felt like I knew what they wanted the moment to be, but they just didn't pull it off effectively. And I think a lot of it was just the way, and I think again, it was to make her look powerful and strong, but I think that they didn't necessarily do it correctly, which is a missed opportunity. I felt like, and I felt it also kind of took away a lot of, because that emotional response wasn't as strong, it made the response to John's death not as strong, and kind of soured that moment a little bit for me. But it was good.
Okay, cool. So we got that right there, and then they keep on moving on. It is just the four of them at that point: Nick, Anna, Steph, and Chris. And they head on over to the school where they see Mr. Savage right behind the front desk. And Mr. Savage obviously has a trap planned for them. But they basically say, hey, Dick, listen, we're here to get my family and friends. And then Savage says, oh, well, they, weren't the best well-behaved or something like that. I don't know. He's very stereotypical creepy villain at this point. And then they basically just go, all right, whatever. Where are they? And then he goes, oh, they're right there in the cafeteria. Head on into the cafeteria. All of the survivors are completely zombified at this point. We don't see Lisa and we don't see Chris's grandmother, but the rest of the members of the school are completely zombified, and Savage locks the door behind them. And this is when we get the most Scooby-Doo moment of the entire movie, where Savage is behind the kitchen grates, what was it called? The blinds? Yeah, he's behind the kitchen blinds, and he blows a whistle, and the zombies start attacking our survivors, and they're basically just running around using the kitchen tables and using whatever they can find to keep these massive zombies at bay, while the whole time Mr. Savage is singing that nothing's going to stop me now, the world needs, a new leader, they need power, and civilization's on the brink of extinction, and I'm going to be the one that survives. So, it's a very slapstick kind of song. It's our evil villain, Scar, Be Prepared song, where they're going back.
That's exactly what I wrote down. I wrote down it's like a weird rock version of Be Prepared.
Yes. So yeah, it's probably my least favorite song in the entire movie, but...
I felt like not only was the lyrics were really bad, because there were a lot of times where he just kind of broke the theme to say a line, like I noticed a lot with his character. Actually, I can't tell like if it was just like the person writing for him or if it was on purpose. Where like his lines would just kind of fall out of the rhythm of the song, and he just like say these really weird, awkward, like shoving all these words into a beat to try to make it work, like broken rhyming, and it was just really fucking grating. But also, like, what he's doing, he's just like fucking jumping around. Like I get he's making noise and shit, but he's never got his attention. Like so what he's doing in there, he's jumping around his dance and shit, is just completely and utterly pointless, and that killed me. Like I was like the entire time I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is your goal here, buddy? Like you already made enough noise that they recognize that they're there. So you making more noise is just going to distract them from killing the people that they're trying to kill. Like what?
Yeah. I think at this point he's just completely gone insane, and they were just trying to show that he's completely lost it and on edge and not really thinking clearly. But yeah, I agree. He's not a very effective zombie baiter, I guess.
Terrible.
Yep. So we move on through. Eventually, they manage to break open the grates, and they escape the cafeteria. Head on in around. Nick, at this point, is cornered by a whole bunch of zombies, and he makes a heroic sacrifice to save himself, or to save Anna.
Well, we do get a little scene before that, just kind of rewind a little bit. So basically, Nick and Anna go to get her dad, while Steph and Chris go to get her car keys and to save Lisa. And Nick and Anna have this little moment, kind of basically where Nick kind of is like, "Hey, you're being a little bit ridiculous about John and all that stuff," and she kind of like tells us this is where we kind of learn about the fact they've had a relationship, and that basically Anna at some point they had sex, and Anna kind of shared her idea of getting out with him and thought they had this great emotional connection, and he basically just kind of dropped her after that. He didn't really kind of apparently told some people about it, and she just said that she was really hurt by the fact that like they shared these dreams and these ideas, and he just kind of didn't care about them. And this is where also learn what happens, why Nick is kind of a dick. Nick kind of explains that when the zombie thing happened, his father, who we kind of get the idea is kind of an abusive dick, basically gave him a baseball bat and said, like, "Son, for once in your life, don't disappoint me." So we learned that Nick smashed his father's head in, basically, with that bat he's been carrying around, which was kind of alluded to earlier when Steph makes a comment about his dad when they first meet, and he goes apeshit for a second. And then basically, because Anna basically says that like John was a million times better than you, like, 'cause he's basically shitting on John, and he never he sacrificed himself for me. You never do that. So when these zombies come, he kind of pushes her aside, and then kind of calls the zombies over, and we kind of cut away from him as he begins singing his song "Soldier at War" again, as he's getting attacked.
Yeah. So that's right there, and that's kind of Nick's way to kind of redeem himself. But we do get a little bit of character development from him, and yeah, it's interesting. So we got that. Chris does find Lisa again, and it's this very slow shot where he opens up the door, and then Lisa's sitting with her back turned to them, and we're just like, oh shit, is she a zombie? And then she does turn around, she's fine, but unfortunately, Grandma's dead. Her heart, or whatever it was, couldn't take it. But Lisa's okay. She's fine. So the three of them, Steph, Lisa, and Chris, decide to go to the teacher's lounge to get the car keys. And unfortunately, the teacher's lounge is completely infested with zombies. So Steph does her best Solid Snake and Metal Gear impression and goes on through the table, sneaks around. They use a TV to distract the zombies by kind of casting and syncing the colorful lights up to the TV, which I don't know. Like, is that an established zombie rule in this movie? Are they easily distracted by stuff like that?
I think it's because there's like noise and stuff coming from it. It was they basically they're playing the video that they recorded at the homeless shelter. I think that just the noise distracted them basically.
Yeah, and it's weird because Lisa is right behind the TV, but they just stand there and they just look at the TV and they don't see her at all. So I don't know. It was kind of like, okay, whatever. Well, we'll make the plot work.
Yeah, that was an awkward choice. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Steph goes on in. She gets the car keys. She finds a dildo in there, or a vibrator in there, and accidentally turns it on. The zombies find her. And then, and then that's the point they turn the TV on, just to distract it right there. And Lisa and Chris head on in to the teacher's lounge to turn on the TV because the battery is dying out on the phone. So they eventually go in, they plug it in, the phone into the charger, but unfortunately, in the whole scuffle, both Chris and Lisa get bitten. And this is a really sweet scene because, like John, they both accept what's happening. They both don't bargain with it. They're obviously upset about it, but they just embrace each other and start dancing as videos of the two of them start playing on the TV and as they slowly turn into zombies. And there's this really cute scene where Steph is at the front door with the keys, and then the three of them look at each other, and Steph gives a little wave saying, hey, thank you, you guys are all right. And then she leaves. So,
but I do have an issue with that though, because when the battery starts dying on it, and because the battery starts dying, so which then makes the zombies kind of turn around. But when the battery starts dying, the TV makes a loud blink beeping noise. I feel like that would distract them even more. I mean that's even better than like a little video with some minor noise. That's like loud and distracting. Like how did they turn around from that?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. But anyway, so we got that, and then we get to the climax of the scene where Anna goes into the hall where Mr. Savage is, and this is the same room where they had the Christmas performance. Yeah. Dad is tied up on stage, zombies are all around, she walks in with her candy cane steak, and then they have their big showdown song. Where Anna it's called Give Them a Show, and Savage is talking about how humanity's rotten and it needs to be reset, and Anna is just saying, well, you know what, I'm still going to fight for it, I'm still going to give them a show, even if all hope seems lost.
I like that. I thought that was like a nice, because it was a nice kind of, I think for her it was a nice, it was showing her character development, where it goes from the world shit to, hey, even if it's shit, let's at least try, which I like.
Yeah, exactly. Puts her hair up in the ponytail, has herself a little badass moment right there, and she ends up going up and she ends up rescuing Dad. Mr. Savage loses control again, and he's not too happy about it, so he tries to threaten the both of them by smashing a bottle and tries basically shivving them open, where Dad and Savage have a scuffle, and eventually during the whole thing, Savage falls into a pit of zombies and gets torn alive, Day of the Dead style, which was wonderful.
Yeah, that's basically it for that scene. Like, the only thing I gotta say though, like, damn, Savage knew to save the dad. Like why did Savage keep the dad alive? What was the purpose?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. But anyway,
honestly,
because he had no idea that Anna was coming back.
Like, so what I thought when I first saw that was like kind of it made me doubt the reality of the situation. I was like, oh shit, is this going to be like some fever dream that she had, and then she's going to wake up in the morning? It's going to be like her, she wakes up and she has a different perspective on the world after having this crazy dream. Because I was like, this is too like weird that for some reason Savage took her father and ties him up with Christmas lights of all things. Like, it was getting so ridiculous that I thought like it was going to be some turn on like what reality was, but that didn't end up being the case.
Nope, not happening. So we got that. Dad and Anna have their tear-filled moments. Anna apologizes for being such a dick to her last night, and Dad forgives her. And then Dad realizes that in the scuffle with Savage, he has been bitten. Oh, shit. So they have their tearful goodbye. They say that they love each other. And Anna says goodbye. And Nick has survived. And Nick comes on in, and Anna and Nick leave together.
Before we leave that moment. So I think we get a couple nice things in that scene. Like, one of them we get where she asks her father if he wants her to help him. Like, okay, kill him, basically. And Nick kind of pops in and is like, no, don't do that. And Nick's like, hey, that fucked me up. Let's not do that. Which I kind of like. I like that moment. And I thought it was a little sad. But so when he leaves, do you remember what he says to her when she leaves?
I do.
He says, "Merry Christmas, Anna." Why the fuck would you say that to your daughter when you're dying and like she's leaving you behind to get like and like a zombie? Like, that would scar. Like, I would feel like that girl can never have a fucking Christmas again. Like, Jesus Christ, do not frame like leaving your dad and all this death and destruction around Christmas. Like,
I think at that point Christmas was already pretty well ruined.
But it was just like, it's just like a weird, like, it reminds me of like have you ever seen like the Doctor Who Christmas specials? Like is this just like a European thing where like they just love talking about Christmas? Like, because I feel like every Doctor Who Christmas special, there's like, what is Christmas? It's Christmas. And like, this was like, as soon as they said that, I was like, God, why the fuck would you say that to your daughter? Like, hey daughter, you have to like traumatically leave your father to die, your friend just died. Merry Christmas.
I don't know. My two British friends, they both absolutely hate Christmas. So I don't know. You might be onto something. Maybe there's some sort of like repressed rage with Christmas over in England.
It was fucked up. I don't know. Let's talk to Tom about this. What does Tom think about Christmas?
Tom hates Christmas.
Take that.
Tom absolutely hates Christmas. Yeah. So we got that right there. So we've got that. We're moving on through, and Anna and Nick decide to leave, and they basically have no idea where to go, but they're sitting there and they're thinking about it. And they have our last song in the movie, which is I Will Believe. And it's basically their song saying that as long as they have breath in their body, they're going to keep on fighting. They're going to keep on believing that things are going to get better, and they're going to keep persevering.
And that song actually I thought was really interesting, because it wasn't like a hopeful song, I felt. Like, to me, it felt... I kept going back and forth, because I even looked at the lyrics and kind of listened to it again.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's hard for me to tell if it's, like, supposed to be positive, because... Like, a lot of it's about, looking back, how, like, all hope seems to drain, and nothing's really happening anymore. It's like, but at least they have the memories. But they never say they're going to keep pushing past it. They just said that even though this was a bad situation, at least have the memories from it. So, like, I took that as a very accepting of death kind of thing, saying, like, hey, things were bad, but at least we got to do it. Like, it was like, life may have been shitty, but at least you got to live it. Which is interesting. And
at this point, the zombies are closing in on them, and it's a very dire situation.
Steph rolls in with a little blue car.
Yeah, Steph rolls in, goes, bam, saved your life. And the three of them drive off into the sunset together, and Steph goes, where to? And we get this nice little reprise, this orchestrated version of No Such Thing as a Hollywood Ending. And they all leave the town, and two parts unknown. And that is the end of Anna and the Apocalypse.
I like that, too. Like, I like that Hollywood Ending played. And
I love that.
And it was just a nice, long, like, otherwise silent cut of them just sitting there. The only thing that, again, was kind of weird is at the end, Anna smiles. Which is just like, again, it's that hopeful thing, but it's like, literally just 2 minutes ago you had to say goodbye to your father. Tonally, I would have just preferred she just kind of stared off into space, but I guess that's kind of awkward and weird. But, and did you also hear the other reprise of Hollywood Ending?
The What a Time to Be Alive. No, that's Turning My Life Around. No, what was the other reprise?
When Chris and Lisa are dying. Like, you hear that little theme playing again, which I liked. Like, which again, it worked perfectly for their characters because it was their Hollywood ending, quote unquote. And like you said, Romeo and Juliet, they die together. I'm actually surprised at how well some of these kind of like subplots work and like the things that they do. I was actually really surprised by that. I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's that. So overall, we talked a little bit about what we both thought of Anna and the Apocalypse. Like, the concept was really cool and the concept was really interesting. I felt like if there were more zombie musicals out there, this would probably rank one of the above average ones, but because it's so unique and because there aren't too many of them, it's worth it for the concept alone and for the soundtrack too. I really like the soundtrack.
I watched some of the special features, and they talked about how apparently this was originally like a short musical called Zombie Musical, and I found it on YouTube and watched it. This is definitely an improvement. That one was very a lot shorter, like maybe 20 minutes, and it kind of picked up where Turn My Life Around starts. She goes to school, meets some guy, they sing a song. The Savage character, I think at this time, is a janitor. And he kidnaps the guy. Then I think the boyfriend dies, she meets, and then they leave, basically, and she's gone by herself again. So it's a lot shorter, a lot more condensed. I think the music in this one's a lot better. But apparently, the genesis of this movie was this guy named Ryan McHenry, who I guess did a lot of work on it. And unfortunately, I guess he died in between after the making of the short, before the movie was officially made. So I think a lot of the movie apparently is a tribute to them. Like, a lot of guys, the people who were involved in it seemed to like really be really close to the guy who originally kind of came up with it, which is kind of a sad thing. But I like the idea that I like that it was kind of like almost like a tribute to him as well. I thought that was really cool.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. So definitely, would you recommend it?
I definitely would. Like, I'd say, don't expect magic out of it, but I think the songs are catchy enough, and I think it's a fun enough film to watch once or twice.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because, like, it's so... But it did feel like a feel-good movie
Yeah.
to me. Like, even though pretty much everyone dies, it's a zombie movie. As long as you go in expecting that. Like, it's a very positive movie. I was singing along to a lot of the songs just, like, randomly on my running soundtrack. Yeah, it's got a very positive sense about it.
Well, it's interesting, too, because I feel like movie musicals aren't as common anymore. Not that they were ever, like, super common, but I feel like not as common. And there's the style of musical, like, where it's these movies where the songs aren't necessarily progressing the plot, but they're just kind of there, and they kind of cut away. It's like an old kind of fashioned musical, but I kind of miss them. Like, I kind of miss, like, Emo the Musical. I think it's on Netflix. You should check it out sometime. It's a very kind of similar style, where, like, it's obviously, like, auto-tuned, and obviously they're singing in a studio, and then the songs are them kind of hopping around. But it's fun. Like, I think it's... I like this kind of genre of movie musical, and I kind of am curious to see if I can dig up more of them. And actually, what do you think about that? What did you think about the way the singing was put in? Like, originally, kind of like the Emo musical, it irked me. How artificial the music was compared to the singing. Like, it actually kind of made me appreciate, like, Les Mis and stuff a little bit in terms of, like, what they did with singing on set. But by the end of it, I got over it. But
yeah, I felt that the studio quality of the soundtrack, it helped set the tone. I honestly had no problem with it, because it wasn't trying to go for a gritty zombie movie. Like, they really did, when they focused on it, they understood, hey, this is going to be... Like, they did not want it... They wanted to keep it cheesy. They wanted to keep it tongue-in-cheek. And having these bright Disney-fied versions of all of these songs. Because it does. It hits all the same. You've got your yearning song, where in Breaking Free, where all the characters talk about their wants. We've got our evil villain, Scar Be Prepared song. We have our... celebration song. We have our sad song at the very end, where the character tells the moral of the story. So it hits all of the same Disney notes that they usually do. But
I agree. Well, and like,
yeah.
Fuck, you reminded me of something, and I forgot it immediately after. Fuck. There was a thing, and it was involved what you were just saying, and it was cool.
Disney musicals, studio quality.
Oh, okay, thank you. So after kind of watching it, I did look into the actors' other kind of credits and stuff, and it was kind of interesting. They have some YouTube videos online. You can find them actually singing the songs, and actually, it's kind of like the live version of the songs. Like, these kids are actually really good singers. Like, I can't remember who. There's one character who I remember listening to and thinking that they didn't sound as good, but then when they sang it live, I thought they sounded awesome. So I kind of feel bad. I can't remember which character it was. I'll still try to figure it out, but there's one of the characters who I just felt kind of was almost underserviced by the soundtrack when they did with it, because I feel like the tuning kind of robbed them of some of it.
Fucked them over.
It may have been Lisa's character, but I can't remember. But anyway, they're all the singers are great. Like, you can find videos of them online, kind of singing songs from this or singing their stuff together, and it's awesome. Like, they have such good voices.
Cool. I'll have to check that out then. All right, awesome. Any closing thoughts to add to this one?
No, just go see it. Do you know what we're going to do next week or next film? Have we decided that yet?
We have a couple different ideas. I believe what we talked about next is either we are going to focus on Leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day, or we were going to delve a little bit into Age of 4. One of the two. And we have a couple stuff right there. Keep like our Facebook page to keep an update on what we're doing next. Once again, thank you to Teddy's Atlas for the use of our theme song. It is called Horror Movie Story, and you can get it off the album Children of the Corn. They're good Canadian boys.
Yeah,
listen to them.
And given this is a musical episode, I want to say it. That Teddy's Atlas song, like, every once in a while I'll listen to one of the episodes. I fucking love that song. Like, it's such a nice little opening beat. It's great. I love it.
I love it.
It's great.
Randomly on SoundCloud. They're great. All right. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Andrew, and thank you, listeners, for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.